Hello and welcome to my channel Enjoy Watercolour Painting. I'm Diana, I'm a watercolourist. I paint and give classes here in southwest France, and today the subject of our video is a storm at sea. Capturing the movement using the different ways we can use water and watercolour to combine on the paper will give us hopefully the movement and the excitement of standing and watching a storm take place, whipping the sea up into all sorts of shapes. I've painted the sea many times. I have a selection of paintings here from different times, calmer seas. I lived in Scotland for many years and the sea was often stormy and dramatic. And so today we're going to try to capture some of that drama in watercolour. Stay with me through all the different stages. I'll explain the materials we use, the techniques we use to capture that movement, and the colours that we use to give that real stormy effect. So let's paint. I have my palettes organised. This is an interesting combination of burnt sienna, manganese blue, cerulean blue and Payne's grey here to give me some lovely stormy sea colours. I also have Payne's grey here with yellow, which is hiding under the Payne's grey, which will give me a dark green, and also a colour for the rocks, which is Payne's grey, Indian red, and then a white palette just out of shot, which has got titanium white. I've got a selection of brushes because I'm going to use lots of different techniques to create this stormy sea. I have my usual size 10 mop brush, then several intermediate size mop brushes, an interesting Chinese brush which is very tapered and very flexible. And I don't know if you've come across this, but this is a sabre brush, which again is tapered, which will give me lots of flexibility to get the movement into the painting. And also a toothbrush for the spray, the final touch at the end of the painting. So stay with me now as we start to create our stormy sea. Now I'm using a sheet of Ash fine grain 100% cotton paper, and initially the first thing I'm going to do is to wet an area just about a third of the way down the paper with my size 10 mop brush so that it's brilliant wet. And now I'm taking the sabre brush and using my combination colour of burnt sienna and manganese blue to do the upswept motion of the crashing waves, always going to meet the wet area, which is a third of the way down. So you can see once the paint touches that wet area, it disperses and causes the plume of the wave to develop. And I'm also going in with the darker Payne's grey mix as well, and using the mop brush to wet the area where I don't want any harsh edges to be formed. This is to give us the upswept motion of the waves, as I've already explained. You can see the point of the sabre brush gives us the opportunity to do very fine lines, but also the fact that it holds a lot of paint enables us to get that sweeping motion and to apply a fair amount of paint. Now taking the upsweep of the waves the other way, so they come together in that column of water. It is great fun to do, and I haven't stretch the paper at all. It's just a loose sheet, and it's really just to have fun and to see what effects the water will produce when you put the paint and the pigment together. And you can see the waves on the left hand side. The water started to move the pigment and produce plumes of colour, just like the foam of the waves. So it is, as I said, great fun to do, and just done on a scrap of paper, so no need to worry if it goes wrong. The fact that the paper is wet helps the foam to form. And now I'm looking beyond the foamy bit of the wave to the sea further away, and I'm using a very light manganese blue with a little burnt sienna mix. And now going into my Indian red and Payne's grey palette to start to define the rocky headland. But I'm coming down to meet that damp area, which is still wet. And as the darker colour meets that damp area, you can see that a soft edge is formed, just like the waves crashing on the rocks. I'm going to take this headland, strong colour, applied just with a medium-sized mop brush to meet the wet area so that there's blending taking place. And this helps to define the limit of the waves. And now the painting is dry, and I'm thinking about the sky, which is less important but must follow the same colour pattern. And so I'm using number 10 mop brush to wet the area first, and shiny wet. And now I'm going to apply a mix of manganese blue very lightly. We have to have the same colour combination as in the waves. The sky, even on a stormy day, does echo the sea. And so there will be some black clouds to add, or grey clouds anyway, to add to this mix. But first of all, I'm breaking the tension with the smaller brush just to make sure that there are no straight edges working along the headland. Now with a larger brush, I can spot in that Payne's grey Indian red mix, but very diluted. And just let it move to give the impression of the windswept clouds. Usually we start with a watercolour landscape with the sky, but when you're painting a rough sea, I find it's better to do the sea first and the sky later. Don't know why really, just seems to come naturally to be the way to go. I'm thinking of placing certain rocks in the foam along the line of the cliffs. And so I'm going in now with a smaller mop brush and my same Payne's grey Indian red combination. This part of the paper is dry now, and so the rocks can be well defined. But now I'm using my Chinese brush, just full with clean water, to soften the bottom edge so it looks as if the spray is cascading up onto the rocks. The paint moves a little, as you can see, but we can use that liner, that Chinese liner, and a mop brush to take out some of the colour and to make it look more like spray and not just a blob. You do have working time with this picture, and mop brushes can be used to do exactly what the reason why they're called mop brushes, to mop up excess paint and to soften areas. And so that comes in very useful in these painting techniques. Adding a little more of the soft blue now to that area which is beyond the crashing wave. And because the area is wet, the colour just blends naturally. So now we have all the painting defined, and the mop brush is being used to soften any areas where we have lines developing. And so now I want to start to think about more definition in the foreground to really make those waves crash. And so I'm putting a very dark mix of Payne's grey and burnt sienna, and also Payne's grey with yellow for a darker green, and just accentuating the curl of the wave. But I'm trying not to produce any really stark lines, just always adding water to mix and dilute the colour so everything remains fluid, and this helps to give that feeling of movement. And this little liner brush can help us to do just that, as we take the colour right up into the curl of the wave and then down into the trough, which is created by that movement of the wave. Because I have so many brushes on hand, I can change to a different size brush if need be when I want to apply more paint. And I often see this with my students. Sometimes they work away with the same brush and then come to a larger area and need to change it. And so if you have all the brushes available, you can add colour in a more generous way without working too dry. Adding water along the line so we don't have any harsh lines. Now I need to change to the larger brush to add more paint. As I've already explained, larger areas requires a more generous application. And again, it's the Payne's grey mix. So I have some straight lines developing now, which I want to modify a little and soften. So I'm going in with this small liner now and just adding water along the lines so that they start to blend and I get a softer look. We get all sorts of lovely effects adding the water and the paint together. Blooms and lots of blended areas, which really add to the spontaneity of the thing. And because we've used a mix of Payne's grey with yellow, we've got the darker greens developing too. And the mop brush comes into its own to just mop up any areas which look like they're going to form harsh lines. So this is all about a very soft, fluid painting. Now I'm looking at the right hand side of the picture where I want to work in exactly the same way, adding the darker colour along the crest of the wave and coming across to this area in the middle, which I want to be slightly different because the wave is curling over here, but at a lower level. I'm keeping it all wet and fluid. And the mop brush comes again to mop up the excess and to stop the lines developing. If you do try to paint in this way to create your stormy seascape, try not to get too worried about it. Remember, it can always be changed and modified. You can smudge areas with the acrylic yellow acrylic brush, or you can use your mop brush and water to soften the areas. But it just must be fun, because it is fun. And these little liner brushes doing great work, just emphasising certain parts of this dip in the waves, this hollow in the waves. And then more water so we don't have a harsh line. Just a fuzzy line, which is what we would expect with the foam of the wave cresting as it does. I want to add a little bit more contrast here in the foreground. To bring the two areas together. And then again that downward sweep, this time some dry brush work with the little liner is sufficient. Now we're almost ready for the very last stage, where I'm going to use titanium white, at this time to just add foamy interest to the tips of the waves. And the paint is still wet, and so as you can see in the middle there, the white is creeping into the darker colour that I added earlier, just helping to create the foamy look. I hope you can see it there. Now we can use the toothbrush and the paint quite thick. It's just off camera, but just using the finger just to make a spray of white, best seen over some of the darker areas, but just to increase that feeling of movement and spray. And there we are. Well, there we have it, our completed Stormy Sea. I say completed, but there's always little tweaks that you can do. So I'm going to let it dry for now. I'm pleased with the movement. I hope you followed it in all the different stages to see how we have arrived at this particular point with the painting. Please, if you haven't done so already, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave any comments that you may have or suggestions for future videos, as this was a suggestion from one of my painters who come to paint regularly on a weekly basis. So until the next time, enjoy your watercolour painting. Bye.